Do fetuses feel pain in the womb? This is a question that to some is vital to the abortion debate. And for a while, people thought that no, they don't feel pain until they're at 24 weeks. But a new paper just published says that's not really the case. Let's look at it. Before we look at the actual paper, let's get a little bit more context. So here we have an article talking about this paper, and it says, medical opinion has said that a fetus will not experience pain before 24 weeks. And that has generally been the medical consensus. That before 24 weeks, because a certain part of the fetus wasn't developed enough, the fetus could not feel pain, even during the most horrific abortions. But this paper is going to contradict that. One thing that I think gives credibility to this paper we're going to see is that the main author is a pro-choice individual. His name, as we see here, is Professor Stuart Derbyshire from the UK. And let's just take a minute to look at that last name, Derbyshire. That is one of the most British sounding names you could make up. So he fits the bill pretty well. But Derbyshire has acted as a consultant to the pro-choice forum in UK and Planned Parenthood. He has been, and still is, a pro-choice individual, and he advocates for abortion still being legal even in this case, as we'll see in a little bit. Not only that, but he tackled this same issue a little bit earlier. You see, in 2006, he was the author of this paper saying, "Can fetuses feel pain?" And in this paper, it was basically in response to a US bill that would say that a doctor would have to inform a woman before getting an abortion that a fetus could feel pain, and he didn't like that. As we can see down here at the very bottom in his conclusion, he said, avoiding a discussion of fetal pain with women requesting abortions is not misguided paternalism, but a sound policy based on good evidence that fetuses cannot experience pain. So here we have in 2006, this same author saying that a fetus cannot experience pain. Since his position on abortion hasn't changed, but his position on a fetus can experience pain has changed, the only logical conclusion is that the data has changed. That he's not being a pro-life propagandist or anything like that. The data, in fact, has changed and it now supports a different conclusion. So let's look at the paper. So it's titled Reconsidering Fetal Pain. And we have Derbyshire as the main author, but we have a second author called Bachman. And as you see here, he says, we have different views regarding the morality of abortion. Bachman is actually pro-life. And Derbyshire, as we already said, is pro-choice, which I think adds a little bit of balance to this paper. So there's no way that those on the pro-choice side can discredit it as just pro-life propaganda, as they like to do with anything they disagree with, because the main author is emphatically pro-choice. So I'm not going to lie, I'm not a medical doctor, and a lot of this goes over my head, because I don't know what many of these words are. But I can read and basically understand the gist of it. To give you a rundown, we'll see here, it says, reports often suggest that the cortex and intact thalamocortical tracts, probably said that horribly wrong, are necessary for pain experience. And that since a fetus only develops this cortex and these tracts at 24 weeks, anything before 24 weeks cannot experience pain. That was the assumption beforehand. However, there is now evidence to suggest that is not true. So you see here, several papers have been published suggesting the necessity of the cortex for pain experience may have been overstated. And it showed that there were individuals with severely damaged cortexes who could still feel pain. So the idea that you need to have a fully developed and intact cortex in order to feel pain is known to no longer be accurate. I do want to point out that neuroscience is a very complicated field, and we may never know exactly when pain starts specifically. But we can tell that this is not required for it, meaning pain starts before 24 weeks. So now let's go to the conclusion and see if you have to throw out the 24 weeks, when does pain actually start? Or what's a general idea of when it could start? So they say, overall, the evidence and a balanced reading of that evidence points toward an immediate and unreflective pain experience mediated by the developing function of the nervous system from as early as 12 weeks. Now, before you jump on that 12 weeks, let's keep going. It says that moment is not categorical. Fetal development is continuous and not an event. And we recognize that some evidence points towards an immediate and unreflective pain not being possible until later. So nevertheless, we no longer view fetal pain as a core immediate sensation in a gestational window of 12 to 24 weeks as impossible based on the neuroscience. So a lot of people are jumping on this on the pro-life side and saying that means a fetus can feel pain at 12 weeks. But that's not what this is saying. Somewhere between 12 and 24 weeks, the fetus can experience pain. But we don't know exactly when it is. Also, it's not one specific event where one day the fetus can feel pain, the next day, boom, it's all there. We don't know, but there is plenty of evidence to say that at 24 weeks, the fetus has been able to experience pain for quite a while already. So the main gist from this paper is that if anyone tries to tell you a fetus can't feel pain at 24 weeks, that's wrong. It can be as early as 12 weeks. And once again, this author, Derbyshire, is still pro-choice. This has not changed his opinion, which is something I want to talk about very briefly. As I already said, this author has not changed his mind, even though he now agrees that fetuses can feel pain in the womb, and he also agrees that women should be informed about the ability of the fetus to feel pain. He still is in support of abortion. So just because we know the fetus can feel pain does not mean that people who were pro-choice are automatically going to become pro-life. That would be great, but that's not how it works. And I do want to caution those on the pro-life side to not put too much emphasis on the ability to feel pain. Because our ability to feel pain is not what makes us human. We can be human even without that. I think abortion is inhumane regardless of when it occurs. The problem with this is even if we take 12 weeks at the earliest date a fetus can feel pain, that's neglecting the first trimester where the majority of abortions happen. So if we focus too much on the ability to feel pain, then we are discounting entirely the abortions before they can feel pain. So don't get me wrong, this is a win for the pro-life side, but we need to be careful how we're going about this. At least that's my 2 cents. You can let me know down below what you think about this. And if you're interested, check out some of my other videos that you may have missed. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.